This podcast is distributed for general informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to constitute legal, tax, accounting, or investment advice. The information, opinions, and views contained herein are our own and may be subject to change at any time without prior notice. All investment strategies and investment involve risk of loss. Any reference in investment, past, or potential performance is not and should not be construed as a recommendation or as a guarantee of any specific outcome or profit. Hey, everybody. Let's see. We're going to do some alts today. Go in the Discord. What do we want? Had a few people asking for, well, a bunch of ones that we've talked about already. Dot, Matic, Uni, Algo, 1 inch. These are a bunch of fun ones. So let's check it out. I'm going to start with BTC because we should always start with BTC, and we haven't done BTC in a while. So I am going to start from ground zero. So obviously we've got a little bit of a downturn, which is fine and understandable. And what I'm doing here is I'm just marking off the weekly transitions from the close to the open. So a lot of times we'll see reactions on the dailies with the at those weekly closes and opens, as you can see here, wicking into it, or this one here. It's just played around with it the entire time. This one, maybe a little bit, not a ton. Definitely on this one as well, though. So, just quick look at what we have going. So, decreasing volume, decreasing price. Usually, that can mean that we're gonna get ourselves a little bit of a turnaround. So it's like a bear flag, essentially. The other thing I like to do is just kind of map out what a kind of flag or triangle or any kind of like trend lines we might have going here. So a couple of trend lines up and down. So now we can kind of see what we have. So we're looking at supports and resistance. So the first white line here obviously is our next resistance we really want to get by on the weekly. So 32.3. And then we're sitting in this range with a lot of, let's start it from this way. This little zone seems to be our area of support. So as long as we're above that, we're happy. I think if we see any type of close on the 4 hour below, 4 hour or above on the time frames, if we see a close below the 29.9, I would say 29.880, I would definitely be putting in some orders lower. So you can see this resistance here, 26.251, or sorry, support. That's on that other weekly that we had there. And if I pull up the Ichi cloud, yeah, oh, we're sitting right on the baseline. That's beautiful. I mean, acting as resistance, moving that way. I mean, first glance for me, I'm like, okay, we're doing all right. This is kind of what I was expecting. The sideways movement and with the alt move, we got a lot of pumps going across the board, which is nice. So outside of that, I want to look at the 3-day. Where does that put us? Same thing. Well, there you go. Look at that. 25.84. I think I have some orders down at 25.9 from that. So definitely if we fall below there, this will be my next line of support. If we go up even higher, we'll just mark these ones out here because this one is the end all be all right there, right? We go below that, say good night. So again, the weekly baseline is here. The weekly conversion is here. So that's again lining up with the 3-day baseline, which looks really good. There's your buy points. So if we break down through here, you should be buying this heavy, and all in. Outside of that, it's pretty much goodbye money. So, but I don't want to get everybody crazy upset or something like that. But we are. I'm not too worried. Not worried at all, actually. This is exactly what we've looked at many a times before. Again, if we look at 2017, I mean, dips. This was a huge dip. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks before we brought back up. This was 3 weeks, 2 weeks. We had 1, 2, 3 weeks here. Even a little kind of dip on this one. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about this. This is what we expected. I mean, after you get a giant rip up, if you look at the weekly candles going from 11K back in September, October, all the way up, it barely stopped. We barely had any kind of pullback. So we should be expecting this. This is good and natural. So don't be afraid. Buy the dips, right? Leave some cash on the sidelines so you can buy those dips. With that being said, I think we're still looking for this to potentially be an alt season. You can look on the side over here. This is in the first part of the day, so we have some good movement. Tezos, Link, 1-inch, Dot. Look at that. Just almost all the ones you guys want to look at so far. So let's start from the top of the ones that are there. Nobody asked for Link, so we won't do that. So we'll go 1 inch. Okay. And I'm going to do this in terms of Bitcoin because when you're playing alts, you're playing to make more Bitcoin. So because ultimately that's going to make you more USD. Let's go to the weekly. There's not a lot to work with here. It's a new coin. But again, I'm going to mark these last 2 support zones so we can see where that's at and bring it up on the daily. Look at that nice consolidation into that and then a move up. Little consolidation for a day and then move up through. Retested it on this candle and looking to move through. And if we look at this guy here, this is probably going to be our next resistance at the 9319. And then I would guess that this, I'm going to make this one a different color. That area there is going to be the next support. So what we look at here, so once we get past this area, there really wasn't a lot of volume. This was 1 day. This is when it listed on Binance. So you're going to almost consider this blue sky growth once you get above that, this zone right here. So let's try a little game called Find the Resistance, right? Find the next stop zones to take profits. So I just do top to bottoms. It's going to give you some ideas of where we could potentially stop at. So if I were to look at getting into this coin here at this point in time now, let me get this long position. I'd want to put my stop. I would want a wide stop. These are altcoins, so 19 and 20% drop. That's you got to consider that if you're going in spot on these things. It's a great RR. You're 3.82. You're almost at 4, and so your risk versus reward is looking good. That's just for the first stop here. Once you get up at that point in time, then you're going to be playing on house money. The fact it diving down that much, unless that's when Bitcoin takes its run up, or just if Bitcoin dies now, these don't matter. None of this stuff matters. But if Bitcoin does its consolidation, we have a couple weeks for this to get to where it's going to go. So you're looking potentially 2, potentially 3. So 75 to 225%. So it's a pretty good risk versus reward at this point right now. And that's with a stop, giving yourself some room below this wick of the candle. So I would say, 1670 sats would be a great one. So like 1 inch. It's got a lot of hype behind it. Should do well. Dot's our next mover. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Dot. I'm just going to leave those there because guess what? It's kind of playing right off of this little trend line here. We had some big movement up the top. I got out of my longs. I was playing this game here, waiting for that rising wedge that we were putting in. This was coming up this way, and we broke it. We broke down from it. So I posted in the Discord. This was the point in time I should have gotten out. I was up when I was in. I ultimately ended up getting out in this area here at about a break even, but this gave me a chance to get back into the game. So as you can see, it dropped here, and we punched back up, and we started to drop down. Actually, down up. So anyways, I had plenty of time to take some decent profit at the $18 range, but I did not. I held on to it thinking it was going to go through, but this break of this support on that transition should have showed me get out. You can see it even better on the 4-hour. Break up, back through, test, and this area in here definitely should have been getting out, especially on this retest and the drop down. But I waited a little longer until I was about break even. I was at this point in time, I was like, okay, it's time to get out. This is going nowhere. So anyways, where are we at now? So let's go back to the daily. So another rising wedge potentially. It's not as clean as the other one, so it's more like a bull flag. It's a little bit lackluster in the volume, I think, if I looked at earlier today. It was decent on that dump, so not bad, but don't like that candle. I would imagine we aren't going to see a lot of upside from here. Doesn't mean we can't. This is in USD. The reason I have it in USD, and I'll go to BTC in a moment. The reason I have this one in USD is because I'm doing leverage trades on the dot USD. So let me go to dot BTC. I gotta go XBT. All right, here we go. Now this actually is a little more encouraging. This was a fun one. So in terms of BTC, topped out here. I can imagine us hopefully not. That'd be quite the dip to come back down. It would almost look like it would come and hit this guy here, but it could. Let's see here. If we go potential, I don't want that reversed. Oops. Now that would put us down in the 50 if this keeps moving out this way. And it just moves, we might get down to the 382. In terms of BTC, I don't like it. It's looking a little overextended. And, honestly, this, again, these candles coming in here, now, it could change. But I'm not super bullish right here at this point in time. So I think I would hold off and wait for a little more confirmation on the dot game. So let's go to the next one, which was Uni. This one's been fun. Uni's been, actually I got it right here. It's in USD. Everybody's looking at USD. Obviously I got a lot of stuff going on this one, but let's go to Uni BTC. reason I use Binance, it just has more data to it than Coinbase. So, which is, it's fine. They pretty much run the same. There's not much difference. So the arbitrage that's within there is not much at all. So as we can see here, it's almost, which is even more encouraging, it's not to its all-time high in BTC yet. So what do we got here? I mean, obviously that's long term. If you draw out a pitchfork on this guy, it's going to come, basically from here to here to here. It's a funky pitchfork though, because that's just open. So I doubt it's really going to follow this pitchfork very well. I'm going to take it off. So straight up usually comes straight down, but doesn't mean it can't run further. It's strong. I mean, this daily candle here is a strong daily candle off this one. You can see we did 3 dailies. We had a little setback on one and then kept going. We like to see these consolidations because it gives us really good support and resistance zones. If we pull back here, obviously we're sitting right on a weekly resistance zone there. So that can give us something to play with. So let's get down on the 4-hour and look at where we're at here. So this is our game. This is our game plan here. So you can see we're getting a little reaction. If we can hold off here and reclaim this, keep this as support, I should say, this is going to be a nice run up. I think that will give us the ability to bounce further, to bounce higher. So, and if we go, let's just do a shorter one here. This will give us a little. There we go. So high to lows. So these are going to be your bigger ones. This high to low is going to be your shorter time frame. So if we can reclaim this, obviously, look at that. It just went right to the 1 from there. So high to low, tag the 1. That gives us even more to play with if we go down on the 4-hour. So when you're looking at this, I would say be cautious because this is, we already had reaction here, which is it's the 1, and that's, after a big run up, this could be our spot. I'm actually tempted. I might actually sell my uni here, right here. I might sell my uni. I know, sounds crazy, but I might do it. So I would watch this zone if you're not wanting to sell. If you do sell, let's look what we might do to get back in for some. Or if you're not in, because I would not get in yet until you see a little bit more decisions. So at this level that we're at here. So this is just the high to low fib. High to low fib, but I'm going to reverse this one. You can see 2618, which is close to this daily transition zone here. Let's see what we have on weeklies. So those are our weeklies. Get back down to the 4-hour. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that as being definitely a potential drop to the 37233. And that's 20% possibility. So definitely I would not enter here right now on uni. I would wait for a little pullback. We hit the 1, plus we had that weekly resistance. We're playing around in there. If we do reclaim it, if we go over and reclaim the 50,000 sat mark, then you can look at re-entering on that. Usually what you want to see is it'll come up and then retest, and then off that retest, you should be buying in that area. Right here. That's where you should buy. So that's UD. Okay. Let's see. Matic. I have not looked at Matic in a long time. We can go monthly Matic. Look at Matic. It's got monthlies. Big zone. Lots of play in that area. So I'm going to highlight that entire area all the way through here. It's going to be a zone of a lot of resistance. So from here, obviously you can see the green zone. That's going to be our biggest resistance zone. Take this. Don't know if I can even get it. There we go. It's from an old. You can look at our weeklies going up. Currently playing that one. Playing that one. And then we get into the green zone. So for Matic myself, without getting into here, I probably wouldn't play this one until I see what happens here in the green box. So it's about 20%. Depending on what we see happen here at this base level, because that's going to be your next support. This entire area right here, right at the 100 sat level, pretty solid support level. If this weekly rejects it, up, down through there. I don't think it does that. If we have any kind of alt with a move like this, that looks pretty solid. Let's go down on the daily a little bit. Daily got rejected off of there. Doesn't mean it can't kind of put a little rising wedge in there and just kind of move through it. But kind of like we had here, maybe it moves through and you kind of bounce around in here. Yeah, it's just a little iffy for me on that one. There's a lot of upside to it, after that. And then you can always, if you like it and you're going spot, you can buy in here. And if we drop down, this is going to be your, what do we call it? The final resistance. This area here. Anywhere in the 100 sat zone, that's when you double up on it and let it go to Valhalla from there. So that's Matic. Last one, Algo. We all know I like Algo. Algo BTC. This one I'm keeping. I'm going to keep this. We've ran through this one a few times. So we've already come up. We're in the green box. If you look like Matic, what Matic was doing. So we're sitting here. If you're following along, we bought in this area here. If you sold on this breakdown, that's great. But we also we got back in this area down here. And we're right back to it. So I can imagine us playing around down here as well, getting some, let's see, more dip, up, move around through here, and then up, and then this retest, and then it's off to the races from there. So we got a lot of resistance and stuff to play through. It's because it's been around for a while, but Algo can run, as you can see here. We had some nice big runs, and so I would imagine. Let's look at the VPVR on this, because I would imagine that we've got some. I must have taken it off. Hold on. Let's get it back, gentlemen and ladies. I apologize. Let's go down to the daily. That's the zone. So we have a big gap right here in this VPVR, right where the green box is. So if it's pushing down through here, once we get through that, you should clear it pretty easily. Probably getting up into the 2500 sat mark. That'd be your next zone, and then it's just kind of let it run from there. So good spot. I would probably look at starting some entries here, seeing if we get a pullback, if we get into the green box, and then we settle out in there. Definitely buy that green box. Is going to be a nice buy area, because from there, that's the last support. and we're just going to see upside. So Algo also gives you 6% in Coinbase. I don't know where else it does, but you've been able to stake it for a while. So a lot of growth potential. Should look good. All right, guys. That's all I got for today.